Howdy, ladies and gentlemen. So today I want to just kind of talk to everybody about something I just found out about. Using weather as a weapon. Stay tuned while I dig into this and show you why I think there might be a connection between the Texas flooding and the flooding in China. The cloud seeding has been going on for a long time. In fact, since the 40s. They used dry ice back then. The whole chemical use is kind of new. I think probably at least since the 60s they've been using it. But never thought about it being used in warfare, basically, as a weapon. So before I get into, the reason behind me saying all this, I want to kind of just go over a little recap of some things that have been going on here at home and around the world in the past couple of months. And then towards the end of this video, we'll get into why I think it's happening and what's causing it. Stay tuned. So check it out, y'all. Got a lot of flooding that's been going on in Texas, and I wanted to talk about something that probably a lot of people don't know about. Something that maybe some Vietnam vets might know about, but probably most people don't know about, and it's something I kind of learned about myself. So we'll go through a couple of things, and then we'll get to the point in this story. So Texas is not the only place that's having floods. In fact, the U.S. isn't even the only place having floods. There's floods happening in a lot of countries, but I wanted to point out one in particular. China. China has been experiencing torrential downpour and floods. Dams break everything. I mean, it's in a large area of China that's just experiencing a huge amount of floods. Here it says on Asia Financial, China's losses from floods, disasters in first half, $7.6 billion. That's in U.S. dollars. We'll go down here and check this out. Extreme weather, mainly flooding, caused China to suffer economic losses of at least 51 billion yuan, which is $7.12 billion in the first half of this year. The total direct economic cost of floods and natural disasters in the first 6 months was 54.11 billion yuan, $7.55 billion in the first half of this year. Shin Zhanli, a spokesperson for the Ministry of Emergency Management, told a press conference. So check this out. I mean, that's a large city underwater. That is a lot of water. This is probably a roadway out there, or maybe a swollen river. I don't know, but I mean that is just crazy. All right, we're going to take a look at this video real quick. This video is titled "Mega Dam Collapses, Half of China Underwater. Bridge Destroyed as River Burst Across Cities." Just take a look at this video, the massive amount of destruction. I mean, there's a lot of destruction in Texas too, and it seems those people really didn't have any warning. Seems like the same thing is going on in China as well. And this is all going to come together in the end of this video. But I wanted to kind of give a precursor to what I'm going to get at. So take a look at this.
On July 9th, a relentless wave of torrential rain has triggered catastrophic flooding across large swathes of China, submerging entire towns and cities, collapsing infrastructure, and leaving millions affected across multiple provinces.
Just take a look at that, man. If that is not reminiscent of Kerr County in Texas, I don't know what is. It's crazy how many floods are happening in, certain countries. We'll say certain countries. But that is just devastating. Now, another thing I wanted to point out, you guys remember that Chinese spy balloon that came over the U.S.? Yeah, so, they shot it down, they fished it out of the ocean, and they found some stuff inside of it. And what they found, they said they found some tech from 5 different U.S. companies, but it's more of kind of like what kind of tech was in there, and the fact that they haven't really been very detailed about it. It says that the tech included tech to survey, take photographs, and collect other intelligent data, and even launch gliders that could have flown on other recon missions. So the other intelligence data, China did say that this was a weather balloon. The United States called it a spy balloon, but we still haven't heard exactly what they were spying on. They haven't told us, for instance, 100% that they were spying on targets on the ground. We don't know what this thing may have been, what kind of data it was collecting and transmitting back. It had a satellite communication module, sensors, and other technology from at least 5 American firms. So, satellite communication module, obviously to relay information, send data back to whoever was controlling it. And sensors and other technology. Sensors, what kind of sensors? Sensors is a broad term. Could it have been, weather sensors? Could they have sent that thing over here and been, I don't know, getting data on cloud movement, cloud formations, rain, things like that? Who knows? Because all we really know about is what we're being told is that it had a communication module on it and sensors and other technology to collect other intelligence data. But there's really no telling what certain countries are capable of and what they're willing to do. When you think about everybody's talking about a nuclear war, an impending nuclear war, it doesn't make a lot of sense unless you're willing to condemn your own country and all of its people to the same death and destruction that you're about to bring on another country. You know what I mean? Anybody who fires a nuke at the U.S. is going to get our entire arsenal dumped on them. Okay? It's mutually assured destruction for a reason. And then when you talk about conventional war, well, with the United States and with most countries, you need a Congress or Parliament or whatever to actually declare war on another country. And then, our biggest thing today is that we use proxy wars. We use somebody else, whether it's some little militia group in the mountains or another country's military to attack a country that we don't like, But what if you didn't have to do that, That takes a lot of resources, takes a lot of planning, takes a lot of manpower. What if you could just fly a few planes near that country and, I don't know, dump some silver iodide in the clouds? What if you could use weather as a weapon? Well, it's happened. It's happened before. So Operation Popeye was a weather modification mission during Vietnam in 1967. Here's an article about it. You can look this up online. There's a lot of articles about it. Of course, it's got a Wikipedia page. But this kind of gives the reason why they did it. At the height of the Vietnam War, conventional U.S. military strategies were proving increasingly ineffective against the North Vietnamese Army's elusive and adaptive logistics. The infamous Ho Chi Minh Trail, a sprawling network of trails, roads, and hidden supply routes, weaving through Laos and Cambodia, remained a critical lifeline for North Vietnam, largely impervious to aerial interdiction and sabotage. So they were obviously having a really hard time in Vietnam. Probably the worst part of Vietnam for our guys was cutting off logistics to the NVA and, of course, the Viet Cong because of their elaborate network of tunnels and trails and, back roads, stuff like that, especially going into other countries like Laos and Cambodia. It was codenamed Operation Popeye. The project aimed to artificially extend the Southeast Asian monsoon season in select operational areas, with the goal of degrading enemy logistics through terrain denial, in essence, turning rain into a battlefield ally. Make mud, not war. was launched in 1967 without the knowledge of Congress. The operation fell under the authority of the Military Assistance Command Vietnam Studies and Observations Group, MACV-SOG. It utilized emerging technologies in weather modification, particularly cloud microphysics and hygroscopic seeding. So this was something that was done in 1967. They used cloud seeding as a weapon to flood out the North Vietnamese, to flood their tunnels, to flood their roads, the Ho Chi Minh Trail, to cut off their logistics, and to put them in complete disarray. And apparently it worked pretty well. But I just wanted to show you guys this and just kind of take into account the fact that we had a Chinese weather balloon go across our country last year. And these random flash floods happening from torrential downpour. I know there was a company called Rainmaker that had done cloud seeding in an area 150 miles away from Kerr County, closer to the coast. They do have an approved program to do cloud seeding up and down the coast in Texas. Now, some people were saying that it was, probably their program, their cloud seeding, that maybe just kind of got away and did something they didn't expect it to, or maybe it's not a U.S. company. Maybe we're being attacked by China or Russia using cloud seeding over the Pacific. Maybe, they've spotted Chinese and Russian planes flying very close to our coast, our airspace in the Pacific. Don't know what they were doing. They know they can't come over our airspace, without some kind of interdiction. But if they're using cloud seeding to flood areas of our country, they wouldn't need to fly into our airspace. And even back in 1967, they could target specific areas. Imagine how much technology has grown since then, how much better it's gotten. If they could target specific areas with weather modification back then we can only assume that it's gotten much better, where they can, make that targeted area even smaller. So, it's just something to take into account, something to think about. And then the fact that this flooding is happening in China. We've had ships and aircraft flying near China. If you remember, there was a German aircraft that they said China fired lasers at it. It was over the Red Sea, but what were they firing lasers at it for? Just because it was a German aircraft? Or maybe they knew that German aircraft was doing something that was going to possibly cause the flooding to be even worse in China. Who knows at this point, but we know that cloud seeding, weather modification, has been used as a weapon before. And it's possible that it might be being used as a weapon again. Now, the United States, back in 1978, did sign a bill banning the use of weather modification as a hostile tool. But that doesn't mean our allies made that same kind of legislation. That doesn't mean our allies banned it. So it's possible that our allies like Great Britain, Germany, even France, who knows, could possibly be modifying weather over in West Asia, or around West Asia, to cause flooding in East Asia, China. The truth of the matter is, we never know what our government's doing. All right, and when they did this in Vietnam with Operation Popeye, like it said, Congress didn't even know about it. I mean, there was, I guess, no need for an approval from Congress to use weather as a weapon. But not many people knew about it within the government. even within the United States military. It was a very secret operation. You know, there's no real reason to believe that they wouldn't do it again. Or, like we've been doing, use a proxy to do it. Another country with the ability, the technology, etc., to do it for us. You know, like German planes that fly over the Red Sea and get, I guess, a laser aimed at them. They said they fired a laser. I don't know what that means. Maybe they just got lased, like targeted, or if they actually tried to shoot them down. Who knows? But it's really not that far-fetched when you think about it. We don't have to break our own laws, and most of the people, even within the government, don't even need to know about it. Somebody says, hey, let's do this. We've done it before. It worked great. Let's do it again. We have laws that say that we can't do it, so to cover our own rear ends, we'll just get a proxy to do it. Maybe Germany, maybe the UK, maybe Israel. Who knows? It's just something more to think about as we head into these crazy times, which 2025 is already starting to kind of show us that we're going to live out the craziest times that I think anybody has lived out in probably the past century. So, you know, just be safe out there, all right? And as always, keep crack-a-lacking.